Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome, Montanaro Home Church. Let us prepare our heart to heaven. Let's sing a song. Song number 119. Long Road to Freedom. 119. Long Road to Freedom.
It's a long road to freedom, a winding steep and high. But when you walk in love, the wind on your wings, cover the earth with the songs you sing. The miles fly by. I walked one morning by the sea, and the waves reached out to me. I took their tears and let them be. It's a long road to freedom, a winding steep and high. Going walk in love with the wind on your wings, and cover the earth with the songs you sing. The miles fly by. I walked one morning at the dawn, all bits of night still lingered on. I saw my star, but it was gone. It's a long road to freedom, a winding steep and high. Going walk in love with the wind on your wings, and cover the earth with the songs you sing. The miles fly by. I walked one morning with a friend, and they would never end. And years have gone, so I pretend. It's a long road to freedom, a winding steep and high. When we walk in love with the wind on your wings, and cover the earth with the songs you sing, the miles fly by. I walked one morning with my king, though my winters turned to spring. Yet every moment let me sing. It's a long road to freedom, a winding steep and high. When we walk in love with the wind on your wings, and cover the earth with the songs you sing, the miles fly by. The long road to freedom, a winding steep and high. When we walk in love with the wind on your wings, and cover the earth with the songs you sing, the miles fly by. The miles fly by. The miles fly by.
Thank you. Let us stand up and greet the Heavenly Father, God, and true parent. Today is Sunday morning, June 15, 2019. Let us bow. From bed, floor. Please join me in prayer. 사랑에 하시는 하나님 아버지 참 부모님 안녕하십니까? Most precious our Heavenly Father, God and true parents, good morning. We are grateful to come in front of you. Past week, we have shared the heart that we are creating centering you and true parents, the true culture, true love, true life, true lineage, and restore the three blessings. Through Father's long, difficult course to provide a new hope to the all humankind. His teaching is the textbook is in the Korean version, the 200 over of the volume of the word, and the 8 textbook that he left us to the all humankind can understand you understand to how to become a true human being, true man and woman, and true make true family, and true nation and world, and so on to the cosmos. Centering the true love and true life and true lineage, we see the three kingship, providing us to how to become true son and true daughter, and loving each other, and make family, and try this family can own the things on the world, and inherit your inherit to your blessing. We are so grateful. Still we can digest your word, and understanding take place. Each of us are unique, and different age, and different culture, coming from different culture, and all different background. But we can see the victorious foundation of true parents can give us hope and love and eternal the goodness. We are so grateful to share this vision and the new culture. Through that we can change our life course. Please guide us, reflect the week, and make new determination with your eternal beautiful world, and one with it, and inherit the victory. And please guide us. Thank you very much. Your patience and love and forgiveness, and our Lord Christ can waiting for the new world, centering you. Please bless this time. Please guide our pastor can share your word and your vision for the world. Thank you very much. I report in the name of Raman and Tamiko Montanaro, blessed central family. Aju, Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Please sit there, and welcome our Pastor Montanaro. Welcome.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy My Day. Woo! 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 So today is a day that America recognizes fathers. Last month it was Mother's Day. Our movement actually made a Parents' Day in I think July, which was actually accepted by Congress.
Yes.
So we actually created a day, but it's very seldom recognized by anybody. Although parents is really the ideal of God, is a man and a woman in love. So I want to talk a little bit about fathers today, about true father, who is our true parent. Here's father's picture, which is with his bride, Mrs. Kang, Hyunsil Kang. And father set the standard of what is a true father. He set the standard of what is a true father. All of history was waiting, actually, for the appearance of a true man and a true woman in love. Many religions have been built around the foundation of a man. Jesus is a single man. Buddha was a single man. Confucius was a single man. Now he may have been married, but we hear nothing in history about his wife. Moses, Abraham. Certainly Abraham's wife, Sarah, has an important role in the Bible, but it's sort of a hidden role, isn't it? Abraham, Isaac. When God appears to Moses on top of the mountain to give him the message that he has to go back to Egypt and save the people, he says, Moses asks him, "Who are you, Lord?" And he says, "I am the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. No mention of the wives, which are Sarah, Rebecca, and Rachel, and Leah, and everybody else. So history has been made by men, hasn't it? This is one of the complaints that women have when they look at history, and some feminists even went so far as to call it herstory, right? They want to write it not as his story, but her story. Ooh. Right? Her story. And there's been such a modern rejection of the traditional view of history and the traditional view of man-woman relationship that women have gone so far as to reject men completely. And this has led to the kind of lesbian culture that we've seen since the 70s. I saw it in my own family. And I've seen it in many friends and family. I was actually part of that movement before I joined the unification movement. I firmly believed in it. I believed that it was the right direction to go. But my experience since then has shown me that that's not right. That while there are mistakes in history, and that men have made many mistakes in history, we cannot fix those mistakes by putting women in the same position that men are in. Because women make the same mistakes then. Haven't we seen that? That when women go into politics, they can be just as corrupt and, destructive and manipulative as men. In fact, they're probably better at that than many men. Manipulation is not the sole province of men, right? Women can be just as manipulative and evil as men are. It's the position of power that leads to corruption, right? What did we say? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So, we look at history, and it's a history of men. Men have made history. Women have been in the background. Now we have the expression, behind every great man is a woman. Anyone seen the King's Speech? Right? That's an example of how was it George? Right? During the World War II, he stuttered and he didn't want to take the crown. And his older brother was a kind of playboy, and he fell in love with an American woman, I think Simpson, and something like this, and he abdicated. What's that?
She was a widow.
She was a widow, so she was previously married. It was kind of a scandal, and she was a commoner. She was an American commoner. It was a scandal. His name was David, and he abdicated the throne. He chose not to become king. So his younger brother, who had always been kind of in the shadows, suddenly was forced to become king, and he didn't want to be. And his wife, played by Helena Bonham Carter, I believe, in the movie, she stood up and she really guided and protected and forced him to really face his speech impediment and become a leader. And he did a good job, and he was the leader through World War II. Men have without my wife, I couldn't be here. I couldn't be standing here speaking. I wouldn't have a home church. I wouldn't be able to do this. Without my wife, I couldn't do this. And yet, my wife would be the first one to say that she would not want to be standing where I'm standing.
It's true.
It's not in her nature. Now, is it in some women's nature to speak? Absolutely. I have met many, many women who are very good talkers and like to speak. So we can't make generalizations about, well, men are this way and women are this way. But we can say that men and women are built differently. Now, is that not a generalization? You see, it's kind of a gray area, isn't it? It's a difficult area to go into. if we say that men and women are different, we're making a generalization. And this offends people. Right? When you make a generalization about any group of people. But I think we have to be willing to say, in general, that's what a generalization is, right? We say, in general, men are different from women. Now, that 50 years ago would not have been a shocking statement, right? It would have been very easy for people to accept that 50 years ago. Now, not so much. Now men are saying, I want to be a woman. And they're choosing to change their gender to become women. And they're taking estrogen. And they're saying, it's prehistoric, it's Neanderthal for us to accept gender roles and gender identification. See how extreme we've gotten. Actually, lesbianism seems tame now in comparison with the gender role transition thing that's going on. Gender transition, so transgender movement, is where people are saying, I can be a woman if I was born a man. I can be a man if I was born a woman. And when we see that kind of transition going on, we find that men are becoming more and more and more feminine, taking on more and more feminine characteristics, and women are becoming more and more masculine, taking on more and more masculine characteristics. And we're seeing that to some degree, men can be successful in acting and thinking and being more like a traditional woman, and women can be successful at becoming more and more like a man. But I would argue that you're not going to find happiness by rejecting the gender that you're born with and becoming more like the opposite gender. What is so attractive about being a man that a woman wants to give up her sex to become a man? Are we that wonderful? What is so attractive about being a woman that a man wants to give up what he was born with to try to become a woman? Are women that wonderful? What's wrong with your own gender? Actually, this age has become the age of being offended at everything, right? We're in the age of being offended. Well, I'm offended. Isn't it kind of sexist for a woman to say, I don't want to be a woman anymore, I want to be a man? If I, as a white person, decided I want to be black, I would set everyone's red flags off, right? Talk about, I would offend everybody, right? If I said I want to be black, and I had my hair changed to become more, in a black style, like a fro, and I even dyed my skin maybe. I had a nose job to become more of a black African features. I would offend everybody. Right? Why isn't it offensive when a woman decides to erase her femininity and try to become a man? Why is it offensive when a man tries to erase his masculinity and try to become a woman? It's a political choice. We're choosing to what we're offended at. There's all kinds of double standards. For instance, if a black person does straight perm and actually, like Michael Jackson did, bleaches his skin and does, he said he had some kind of skin condition, but most people have real doubts about that. And he clearly, if you look at his face, how much plastic surgery he had done. He had his nose, thinned out, so he had a sharp little pointy nose, and he had a cleft chin put in, and all kinds of nonsense. High cheek, he looked really distorted by the end. It was like terrifying, And nobody was offended that he was trying to become white. But if a white singer had done the same thing, trying to become black, I don't know if people would have been offended. They would have probably thought it was ridiculous. But it's just what I'm trying to say is, what do we choose to be offended at? What's the offense of the week? We should join an offense of the month club. We should have an offense of the month club. And then we can have the new offense. That I'm offended at this now. I'm offended at that now. I'd like to ask, what is God offended at? That would have some meaning, wouldn't it? And I think God is offended when we try to change our gender. I think we should be happy with how God made us. On a different level, besides offense, psychologically speaking, when we talk about if somebody, it's a double standard. If someone says, I'm homosexual, and they're 13 years old, or 12 years old, or 10 years old, right? We totally support that. Even to the point now where we're giving them hormones so they can change their gender, which I think is criminal. Right? 2 weeks ago I talked about this, or last week, I spoke about if someone's feeling suicidal and depressed, you don't give them a knife. You don't give them razor blades. You don't help them to kill themselves because they feel like killing themselves. If someone's depressed, we try to help them see what is joyful about life, what is happy about life. We try to help them not be depressed, not feel suicidal. So if a teenager feels like, I'm not a man, I'm a woman, shouldn't we understand that that is perhaps a phase that they're going through? That there's some psychological damage in the family that is causing them to feel so self-hatred about their own gender? That they're hating themselves? They're hating their gender? And that kind of self-hate, we should do everything in our power to help them stop hating themselves. Do you not see that that is a more rational way of looking at this whole transgender movement? That if somebody hates themselves so much that they don't want to be what they were born, we shouldn't, assist them in that self-hatred. We should be supporting them by saying, look, I know you don't want to be a man anymore, but let's take some time and think about it. Let's talk about your own family dynamics and what's going on in your family and in your heart. Let's let you have some time to think and pray and get deeper into it. Let's talk, let's go out and see the world. Talk to many different kinds of people, many different kinds of families. Before you start taking hormones at 12, 13 years old to change your gender based on a feeling you have of self-hatred. I wasn't born in the right body. That's self-hatred. I always seem to gravitate to this point because to me this is the thing that our society is facing right now that is most destructive of young people. Because if you can't even accept your own gender, if you can't even believe that you're a man or believe that you're a woman based on your physical characteristics, there's nothing going to be stable anymore. You've taken away the root of any stability, psychologically speaking, and it's bad enough going through puberty and adolescence. It's difficult enough going through childhood and puberty and adolescence, right? Without adding this to it. Are you sure you're a man? Are you sure you're a woman? Maybe you really want to transition into the opposite gender. Talk about screwing up young people. Just throw that at them. Lovely.
Yeah.
Really wonderful what we're doing to our teenagers. And is it working? Is it making a happier, healthier society? Obviously not. The proof is in the pudding. When you finally take it out of the oven, you can see, did the recipe work? And right now we're looking at confused, scared, insecure, suicidal, depressed people. So today's Father's Day. The problem is that the idea of fatherhood is under assault in our society, isn't it? The idea of being a man is under assault. Especially if you're white. If you're a white man, you've already got 2 strikes against you now in our society, according to certain people. So, what is a father? Why are men and women different? Can I generalize without offending everybody? Originally, God created men and women to represent the 2 aspects of the universe. Everything is in a pair system, polarity, because through relationship, love is generated. So whether it's stamen and pistil, male and female, cation and anion, positive and negative charges, North Pole and South Pole, everything exists in a polarity of opposites, complementary opposites. This allows energy to flow between 2 poles. This replicates the energy flow that is always going on within God. There is an initiating point of the energy, and we call that love. And then there's a responding point and a returning point of the energy, and we call that beauty. So it's not that love gives back to love and love and love and love. It's that one position is in the position of initiating, and that's a subjective position. That's creative, that's the energy of going outward, that's yang in Chinese philosophy of Taoism. The yin energy, you know the famous yang and yin symbol in Taoist philosophy. It's the center of the Korean flag as well. This idea of one thing flowing into another and that thing flowing back into the original point. This idea of yang and yin, which is the root of Taoism and Taoist thought and much of Oriental philosophy, is the idea that everything exists in harmony right from the origin of the universe. So originally, men represent the subjective, outgoing force of yang. Women represent the receptive force of yin. So, if you have 2 subjects, it doesn't work. 2 North Poles, 2 South Poles. If you have 2 objects, like 2 South Poles or 2 minus signs, it doesn't work either. Let's give an example. Say you have 2 men or 2 subjective people. They both decide, let's go to the movies. Yeah, let's go to the movies. That's a good idea. Or even worse, let's go to the movies. No, I want to go to the ball game. No, I want to go to the movies. No, I'm going to the ball game. Okay, go. Have a nice day. Boom, no relationship. Because they both have different ideas about what they want done. So they go in different directions, pursuing their own ideas. Or even if they both want to go to the movies. I want to watch that one. No, I want to go watch that one. I'm going to, no. Boom, no relationship. They were sitting in different movie theaters. Right? No relationship. What about 2 objects? 2 people who are in the objective, 2 receptive. What do you think? What do you want to do today? I don't know. What do you want to do? Whatever you want to do. I don't know. Well, I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. I mean, anything's okay. We could play a game. Yeah, that sounds okay. But we could also do this. Sunmi, my daughter Sunmi, is a little bit like this, right? She's very objective. So she can think about a million other ideas, right? What can be done? I don't know. You want to? Well, this is also possible. This is possible. She has a kind of receptive mind. So you have to put 2 people like that together, nothing gets done. Right? So she's having to, fight herself like that to become more subjective. But see, subjectivity and objectivity are pair. And it's beautiful when they're together, isn't it? And originally, God created men to be in the subject position and women to be in the object position. So the relationship between a man and a woman is the man initiates, the woman receives that and responds and supports and encourages and expands the idea. Let's talk about that idea of expanding. This is the woman's power. She can take a man's idea and make it better. Father talks about Japan in this way. Father talks about nations in this way. That Korea is the Adam nation, meaning masculine nation, and it really is. And even the shape of the peninsula is like a man's sexual organ. Japan, island nations tend to be feminine. England and Japan are feminine nations. Philippines, feminine nation. More receptive, more objective. And look at the Japanese character, it's very much feminine. Right? But look at the Japanese, how good they are at taking other people's ideas and perfecting them. There's no cameras better, there's no cars better, they took all these things that other people created and they perfected them. They expanded on those ideas. Let's look at pregnancy and birth. A man, even the word we use, conception, right, is a man sending his seed into the woman. Right? His love, energy, goes into the woman. The woman receives the seed. Think of even the sexual organs. The man's sexual organ is very strong and direct and right, pointed and like this. The woman's is soft and receptive. She takes the seed into her womb where the egg is waiting. And the seed, all these sperm cells go and attack the seed, the egg. And only one is allowed in. If two are allowed in, or if there's two eggs, you get twins, you know. You have to have two eggs. Because one egg will only accept one sperm cell. And when that sperm cell goes in, it shuts its doors. I don't know how, it's a miracle how that happens. But one sperm cell makes it into the nucleus of the egg. And then for 9 months, in the Korean system of counting, it's 10 lunar months, or 28, 29 days. It's exactly 10 months, which is amazing, because 10 is a number of perfection. So it's 10 lunar months, actually. The woman nurtures this idea. The word conception and the word idea are connected, aren't they? To conceive of something is to think about it. Right? To have an idea. So when a man loves a woman, he's giving a germ, right, of an idea. Even the word germ, to germinate. Right? They're all connected. Words are amazing. So to germinate the idea, to start the seed of an idea. But the woman takes that like a seed in the ground and nurtures it. Like the seeds fall off in the autumn, right? Off of the plants, and they go into the ground. And they're covered by leaves and then snow. And they sit there in the cold winter and they're nurtured by the ground. And in the springtime, the soil becomes warm again and moist as the sunlight hits it. And then the seeds germinate. And then the roots go into the soil. And then the sprout goes toward the sun. In this analogy, the earth is the woman. The sun is the man. The seed is the child. So a woman takes this idea, this conception, and she nurtures it, and it expands, literally. Right? A womb gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and finally a baby comes out. Can a man do that? Is man better than woman? But a man can't do what a woman can do. A woman can't do what a man can do, not sexually, not like that. Is a man better than a woman? No. Is a woman better than a man? No. But are we different? Absolutely. It's not just physical. It's not just that a man has a penis and testicles and seeds, and a woman has a womb and a vagina and, you know, and eggs, ovum, and ovaries. It's not that. That's not the only thing that makes us different. That's a physical manifestation of a spiritual quality. But the thing is this, human beings are the only thing that God created that can choose how we want to be spiritually. So animals, The masculine animal, the male animal, acts like a male animal, invariably. The female animal acts like a female animal, invariably. The stamen acts like a stamen. The pistil acts like a pistil in a flower, invariably. A positive ion acts like a positive ion. The protons act like protons. A negative ion acts like a negative ion. The electron acts like an electron, invariably. North Pole acts like a North Pole. South Pole acts like South Pole, invariably. But human beings are the only beings that were given the freedom spiritually, not physically. Our physical body operates according to natural law. But our spirit acts according to our will, not God's will. God doesn't force us to do anything. God gives us words, ideas, hoping we take them, hoping we receive them. And if we do, we grow in the direction that God planned us to grow in. If we don't, we grow in other directions. Strange directions. Millions of possibilities. Some people indeed are tempted by those thousands and millions of possibilities. Cutting themselves, damaging themselves, hurting others, doing strange things to their bodies, their spirit, their mind, their relationships. And there are millions of possibilities. And some people consider that to be freedom. Right? I'm free, so I should do anything I want to do, right? If I follow God's idea, I'm not free anymore. I'm doing what God wants me to do. Sounds reasonable, right, that argument? It does. Are we losing our freedom when we follow God's will? Let's think about that.
No, because your freedom is to select God's will.
Exactly. You're not losing your freedom. You're choosing out of millions of possibilities God's idea. Now, God is so confident and so loving that God has waited thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years for us all as humanity to choose the way that God wants us to go. God is absolutely honoring our freedom. But the ironic thing is this: if you choose a direction other than God's direction, we're not built that way. So we become unhappy. You're still free to choose anything you want. But when you choose God's way, you become the fullest form of yourself. The most powerful, beautiful form of yourself. Anyway, you're going to have to work that one out in your own relationship with God. My feeling has always been, after I met God, I felt, I don't know, how would you put it, honey? I felt after meeting God that I didn't lose my freedom. I felt loved. I felt God loved me and knew what I was and wanted me to be the best I could be and really, really honored my freedom. Because within God's will, this is, I think, the point. Within God's will, it's not like we all become the same person. Within God's will, there's millions of possibilities. Every one of us is unique. You may choose to be an artist. I may choose to be a writer. You may choose to build houses. I may choose to do sports. You may choose to be a welder. I may choose to be a teacher. You may choose to be a chef. I may choose to just climb the mountains and be a hiker. These are, all of our interests and hobbies are different. The universe has billions of different insects and animals and plants. Weather changes constantly. The universe is a brilliantly designed playground for us to explore our own uniqueness. There's no boredom in that. There's no limit in that. But to explore that uniqueness while maintaining a relationship with God and recognizing and honoring the nature that God gave us, is true freedom. That's true freedom. You don't lose your freedom when you follow God's will. You become your true self, and then you have the freedom to follow millions of different paths into what kind of person you want to become. So, back to being a father. Let's look at that idea of man and woman being different. The woman receives the idea, the conception from a man, and expands it. This is not just in giving birth and raising children. This is in every aspect, that a man's nature tends to be thrusting, dynamic, outgoing, pushing forward. A woman's nature tends to be receptive, cooler, thoughtful, detail-oriented. There are men that are more detail-oriented and more, thoughtful in those ways. Many Japanese men actually are very, very detail-oriented and very delicate in the way they handle things. But in general, men tend to be more of the original idea, the thrusting force of love, the pushing forward idea. Women tend to receive that, nurture and expand those ideas. That's why I trust my wife. I definitely have ideas about decoration, and I discuss them with my wife, but my wife has an intuitive sense of beauty, which I really, really appreciate, and my daughters do also. Sorry, John. So, I trust my daughters to be like experts more in beauty and fashion and things. I have my own opinions, and I express them. They're always wrong. Just kidding. But women have a different idea. They're more sensitive to detail and beauty. How much time do women spend on their appearance? Men tend to just, we want to look good, but, we think like, hey, I look good just the way I am. I don't need to do anything special. Whereas women are makeup and hair and, jewelry and ornaments, because they want to be different all the time. Women are like the seasons, or like weather, always wanting to change. Beauty is always changing, right? In that sense. Mm-hmm. Men are like the sun, always the same. Actually, guys, I don't know about you, Josh, I just like things to be kind of the same. I like, order and sort of like, boom, it's the same. It's okay, let's do it, Whereas women, they want things to be beautiful and different. It's just a different nature. Now we both have masculine and feminine qualities. Men have feminine qualities. Women have masculine qualities. We share each other's qualities. That's why we can appreciate each other. We're not different species. But in general, men and women are different. And that's what makes our relationship so beautiful. That's what makes love possible. So today's Father's Day. So we're recognizing fathers. We're recognizing this loving, powerful, creative force of God. Mother's Day is the universe. Nature is like the mother. Nature is our mother. But our Father is God. The mother is, nature is the mother, always changing, nurturing. But without God, lonely. This is a hard question. Many women feel they don't need to have a man in their life. But I think men provide humor and love and energy that women don't necessarily have the same quality. And when we invest our love in a woman, she feels warm and happy and loved. And then her life blossoms. So, we talked a lot today about traditional things, but we also are talking about the future. Because every generation will be born as men and women. And they'll grow up. And the decisions we make today about our society and about our religion and about our thoughts will start to play out tomorrow in the school systems and in politics and in family orientations and dynamics. Everything is what we make it. We human beings have the freedom. That's why these discussions are so important. And yes, there's debate about this. And I don't expect anyone to roll over on their ideas and just give up. But let's discuss it. Don't be offended if someone says men and women are different. And that men are in the position like the yin and yang of yang, yang. And women are yin. And they're different. And men are subjective and forceful in their ideas. Women are receptive and expanding these ideas. And there's beauty in that. Please consider those ideas. And if you're raising your children, try to understand that the best thing we can do for our children is to model God's original ideal. If we're modeling some distorted view based on our own petulant philosophy of, I want it to be this way, maybe we're doing damage to our kids. Father was the example of a true father. He was the example of a true father. And before I close, in my prayer this morning, this is kind of for our unificationist brothers and sisters, but everyone's welcome to hear this. But fathers' children, many of them struggled with being children of Reverend Moon. And some of them went through, wrong ways and, drugs or alcohol or different things. And they struggled to be father's children. And some people criticize father. How can you call yourself a true father if your own children are not true children? Or not good people? Or not following your way? And I always pray about that point because I think it's important. And to this morning, thinking of Father's Day and thinking of true father, I thought more deeply about this point. And I want to share something that I understood, an analogy that I understood. I'm a teacher. I've had my own children in my classrooms. Do you have any of you have experience of having a teacher who's also a parent in the community and had their own children in their classroom? Anyone? You've had that experience, right? Either your own parent was a teacher or perhaps one of your classmates had a teacher who was also their parent, right? That happens. Anyway, you understand what I'm talking about, right? The idea that a teacher is sometimes forced to teach their own children in the classroom. All right. What is the danger there?
Favoring your own children.
Favoritism, exactly. You favor your own children. So most teachers I know are such professionals that if they have their own child in a classroom, they'll go to great lengths to show the other students that they're not playing favorites. They may even be harder on their own children than they would be on the other kids. Just to show, just to, make it absolutely clear that there's no chance of favoritism. Because it would be unprofessional, it would be wrong for a teacher to treat their own children better than the other kids if they're teaching everybody. Right? That would be wrong. Keep that in mind. True father was the teacher of all mankind. He was the second coming of Christ, the Messiah. Every human being was his child and his student. He had to treat his own children no differently, sometimes worse actually, than he would treat anybody else in the classroom. And the classroom was the whole human race. So his own children understandably had a difficult time accepting that. When they looked around, everyone else's dad was nice. Everyone else's dad took care of them. Everyone else's dad went on vacations. Everyone else's dad would give them presents for their birthday. But father couldn't do that. He couldn't give a present to Hyojin if he didn't give a present to me and to Oma and the thousands of other people that were following father. As well as the people that hadn't yet started to follow father. He couldn't treat his own children differently than he treated everybody. He couldn't give them any special attention. But when you think about that, it makes sense from a teacher's point of view. But from a modern society point of view, it doesn't work. The kids looked at their father. What kind of person is this that can ignore his own children? He wasn't ignoring them. He was praying desperately that they could fulfill their responsibility. But they had to come through the classroom door, the front door, like everybody else. There was no back door for his kids. There was no chance for them to be specially treated or educated by father. They did have the advantage, if you want to call it that they could hang around father because they were in the same house and they could watch him teaching all the time. But frankly, for most of them, they suffered because of that. They never got to spend alone time with their father, or private time, or special time. And they suffered. And they were angry, and they were bitter, and they were hurt by it. And they acted out. And he always did them, especially the oldest son, acted out. And so they went the wrong way. But all of them, without exception, all of them came back. They went through many difficult courses, many, like a prodigal son, right? Going out and squandering the money and becoming a profligate. Ooh, nice word. Losing control of their lives. But then they came back. All of them came back to Father. Because they, through their life experience, realized Father was right. Father was, and they became incurably proud of their Father. Every one of the true children is incredibly and incurably proud of their Father. Because they realize, my Father is the true parent of mankind. And I wanted to share that with you on Father's Day, to think about who true Father really was, and what kind of man he was, and how he lived his life. So especially for our members who maybe have struggled to understand why the true children struggled so much with their roles, you have to think about him, Father, as a teacher. He can't play favorites. And all of mankind is his students. All of mankind is his classroom. So I hope that helps. And also we, as home church pastors, taking care of Gorham, taking care of New Hampshire, I really should follow Father's way. Not to give special attention or time to my own children. My kids are glaring at me. But that's the high standard that Father set. Anyway, I pray you all can understand and start to follow your own course of life to become true parents yourselves. Because when the whole world is full of true parents, then the sacrifice that any one parent has to make is less great. But for now, until the whole world becomes true parents, we have to set the standard. And it's harder. Do you want to share anything?
I think we are sharing our true parents, but the people doesn't know the principle or doesn't know what it means the true parents. I think it's difficult. It's like in the song, you have the word is heart. You know, true word and fake word, or even the school, this sentence is a false, or this sentence is true. You have to say that T or F.
Right, true or false.
Yeah. The same. The word with two kind of word. We have a true word, and the true word sometimes hard because really hit your original heart.
Yeah.
But true, it's really hard.
Hurts. It hurts.
Very hard. But if you deny because your pain, you will not coming up to the true standard. And lie sometimes the comfortable, That's why I was young. I felt this world is not true. people lying and behind of the back is saying the heart to other people, and then seems like that, you know. And then I was looking for what is true, what is not true, and then I found that Christ is fought with the fake word and fake truth. You know, that's why difficult course, mocking at. I can even see that the video, television, or the movie, the "Oh Jesus" or "God," and then mocking that word. I didn't know. I came America. I didn't watch the movie. Now I have a little bit time to learn the English and start understanding what they're saying. I can pick it up. These people saying the lie, but even saying that looks nice, looks pretty, and looks like delicious, but it's not true based on the true heart, and to make anybody good or loving. But the Christ word, God's word, is true and heart, and sacrifice yourself. But it's good to have a truth, even heart. You can be that bad things. You can cut it off. Like we are tree. The long root and long branch will grow, but if you don't cut, you are messed up. That's a hard point. Father is a true man, true tree. Its word is hard to us and scolding us because he had true love. And very hard. And sometimes I'm afraid to meet him even, because he can see me, true me. Sometimes I lie, sometimes hiding and afraid, and you know, sometimes not want to close to even, you know. Even in the room, I can hide in the bathroom or something, you know. But I know, you know, you have to follow to be find yourself, to be what is true yourself, you know. That is very hard. But everything work hard and gain the owner, become like a character, is like a owner of the, and like also like a king or a queen, truly own, was working hard to become true self, find true self and true life and true lineage. Past and now and the future is connecting. That is absolute. And human being is not absolute. It's still growing. That is he mapped out the life, how to live. And living for sake of others is harder because sacrifice yourself. But it's true. If you do that, the true happiness will come. Happiness is not dumped on you. You can eat and make lots of money and you know the gain the Porsche or a nice house like a temple or something like that. But it's not true, you know. Even external things going away or broken down, but you gain the true self. It's forever. That's why we are asking you to find yourself, like in the mountain core, you digging out the core, but inside the core have the beautiful diamond that never change. I want you to find it, your own hand. That truth is hard, but true is good. Please find it. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. So anyway, thank you, Oma. And with that, we'll close the day and let's say a prayer together.
Yeah.
Please join us in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for loving our family and taking care of our family, taking care of our brothers and sisters, taking care of our community and our nation and our world, Father. Father, we want to have the parent's heart. Father said there's no difference between a parent and a teacher and an owner. That if you own something, you take ownership, you take responsibility, you want to make sure it works. If you're a teacher, you take responsibility for your students and you want them to be healthy and well. If you're a parent, you take responsibility for your children and you want them to grow right and to grow straight. So owners and parents and teacher, a true owner is a true teacher, is a true parent. I pray that, Father, we can become true owners, true parents, true teachers. And like my wife said, Father, truth can hurt, Father. You know, just like when you're not eating bad food and you have to quit eating unhealthy food, or you have to work out and you don't want to be you're lazy and you want to be a couch potato, but you have to fight your body. Just like whenever we do something bad habit, and it's much more comfortable, Father, to believe a lie many times. This was what Adam and Eve did in the Garden of Eden, Father. In the beginning of human history, our ancestors chose to believe a lie instead of the truth that was more painful and more difficult to follow. And now history is waiting for those people who are willing to stand up and turn around and go back to the Garden of Eden and to go back and accept and receive and choose that difficult truth rather than the easy lie. I ask your blessing on this day. I pray for everyone listening at home that they can choose the difficult truth and not the easy lie. I ask your blessing on this day. 축복 중심 가정. I offer this report in the name of Raman and Tamiko Montanaro, a blessed central family. 축복 중심 가정. 라만과 타미코 몬타나를 이름으로 보고 드립니다. 아주. 아멘. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.